it's important that you're clear on what you want. We talk about SMART goals. If you haven't listened to episode 580, make sure you check that out. But it's equally important, if not more important, to then focus on what are the micro actions that are going to lead to the macro goals. What are the micro actions that are going to lead to the macro goals? I recently heard Brandon Turner, formerly of Bigger Pockets, talk about M.I.N.S. And I really like this acronym, so I definitely want to give him credit for it. M.I.N.S, most important next step. Most important next step. And he's big on goal setting as well, right? But he talked about, and I never heard it quite put this way, but he said, one of the things I'm always asking myself, regardless of the goal, big or small, health and fitness, relational, business, money, finances, investments, whatever the case might be, he's always asking himself, M.I.N.S, most important next step. So what is my most important next step? Whatever that might be. And so you might just, after this episode, if you take nothing else from this podcast episode, but you take that away from it, I think it's extremely important that you ask yourself, what is it that I want to accomplish? What is it that I've been procrastinating on? What if I woke up January 1st, 2023, and I'm reading my January letter, and I'm reading a letter of how incredible 2022 was and how I accomplished everything I wanted to accomplish. What were the micro actions that led to me accomplishing those big goals? What were the M.I.N.S, right? So ask yourself, think right now, what is it that you want to accomplish? Maybe it's for many of you, maybe it's a certain amount of money that you want to make this year, net income. For others, maybe it's a cash flow goal, if we're talking money, business, and finances. So ask yourself, if you have a goal of $10,000 a month, seems to be a very common goal for many people. $1 million a year is also a very common goal for many people. So if it's just take $10,000 a month, ask yourself, what's my most important next step? Whatever it is you want to accomplish, I challenge you to ask yourself, what's my most important next step? Just think about it. Just take a second to think about it. And I think that's part of the problem, is that so many people, we live in a microwave society. So many people want to put their goals in a microwave, hit the minute button, and then poof, like their goal is there. They don't want to put in the work. Knowing what you want, having an action plan, but you got to be flexible, and you can't be married to what accomplishing the goal looks like. In other words, some people try to say, hey, I want to accomplish this, and how they go about accomplishing it, they box themselves into a phone booth. They box themselves into a very specific way in which it has to get done. So ask yourself, if there's a certain goal you want to accomplish, first of all, focus on who you're becoming, the journey, right, in accomplishing that goal. But don't be so married and tied to how you accomplish the goal. To me, I leave those things to God. I have a very specific goal I want to accomplish. I have a game plan and an action plan on how I'm going to do that. Right now, I'm going to start asking myself, what's my most important next step? But I also have to course correct. I have to be flexible with how I achieve that goal. It's that whole analogy, and I forgot who came up with it, but it's a pretty well-known analogy that most pilots are off track 94% of the time. Right? You pilots hop on an airplane. I hop on a plane here in Miami. And, for example, actually, if you're listening to this on the day it's recorded, I'm on a plane or got off a plane, hopefully headed to Charleston to spend some time for the new year with my family. Charleston, driving down to Savannah. Well, if you're listening to this and I'm on a plane, the pilot on the way from Miami to Charleston, South Carolina is off track 94% of the time. But he's going to arrive at Charlotte because he knows his destination. He puts it into his system and he knows exactly where he's going. That's how you want to treat goals, and that's how you want to treat your life. So I just wanted to share some of those things with you. Be ready to put the work in. That's one of the things we talked about in our deep dive day, which, by the way, if you have any interest in connecting and learning more about ascendyoursuccess.com. But during these deep dive days is, don't be so married to the journey. Know what you want, put it in front of you on a daily basis, focus on it, but then more importantly, focus on the micro actions that are going to lead to the macro goals that it is that you want. So adopt a word for the year. What is your word for 2022? When you look at your goals, when you look at your vision, when you look at the type of person you want to become, the skills you want to acquire, the people you want to impact, the people you want to meet, build a relationship with, is there a common word that can tie it all together. And this is a word that you constantly remind yourself of every single morning, every single evening before you go to bed. What is the word for the year, right? In the past, I've had words like execution, right? In the past, I've had words like consistent. In the past, I've had words like impact, right? So what are the things that you want to accomplish? Look at your vision. Who are you becoming? Is there a common word that can tie it all together? And then let that be your word for 2022.